Hello everyone, welcome to Digital Beer Stream. What's in the glass in here? Welcome everyone, welcome Elliot, number one for the day, fantastic. So just would love to thank you everyone that follow me in these 2 months. Today is actually exactly 2 months that I am locked in my flat. And when I say locked, I mean like I've been out a couple of times, supermarkets, buying beer, buying some bread, having a walk. But yeah, pretty much has been 2 months, so 13th March. And has been interesting, has been unusual, has been pretty unique, has been tough sometimes, and I definitely have to thank this project, Digital Beer Stream, in my page, What's in the Glass, to keep me, pretty safe, pretty, energetic as well. And I had lots of people communicating with me recently, telling me that it's a pretty, interesting thing what I'm doing, because again, is the guest always a matter? Is their experience, how they deal with the situation, how they deal with all the difficulties right now. So I'm glad that many people wanted to join me in this adventure. So on today, on Wednesday, we normally do the ground stream, and the ground stream is about 30 minutes Wednesday, two-way live conversation with the London Best Beer Stockists. When I say London Best Beer Stockist, I would love to invite one day pubs as well, but apparently before the end of October, we don't know exactly what's happening in the beer industry. So most of the places that are selling beer right now are bottle shops and, have licenses that are specialized in very good beer. And in London there are many, there are few. Some of them are fantastic, like All Good Beer, which is our sponsor, bottle shop sponsor for the week. And All Good Beer is run by Elliot and Libby. They started in 2016 in Bermondsey, and they managed to open another venue in Hackney Downs in East London. And they also have wine, kombucha, and I'm gonna have the pleasure to stay here today with Elliot, which is also a very good friend of mine. And I managed to have to get some good beers for the week. One of them is this fantastic Sabro Stout called Soft Top from the fantastic Hollingops guys. So Hollingops is a brewery in Hackney Wick, and they used to brew below the Cock Tavern in Hackney Central. And I really recommend you to go and visit the tap room that these guys have, because it's fantastic, as apparently the first tank bar in the UK or something like that. So Hollingops, we're gonna try a Sabro Stout, which I'm expecting a very tropical stout, something definitely perfect to try to keep me in a good mood for the rest of the day as well. I also would love to give a shout to our an interesting project. It's called Time Well Spent, and it connects full-blood creatives with charities, social enterprises and startups impacted with COVID-19, and they're giving them a chance to donate their designs and their work of art for so many different players out there. So you can find the Time Well Spent link between my stories. I really, really recommend you, if you are a creative or if you know someone is a creative, to check it out. And if you can support independent creatives as well, as I did through Everpress, where I found this t-shirt, please do, because it's a very special time for all of these, all of these creative guys and everything. So I'm gonna have Elliot on the live, so I'm gonna try to call him over here and see if he can join me through the. And we're gonna discuss about a very interesting topic, which is what's like starting a beer business in London. Yes,
There he is. Hi, Gab. How you
oh,
doing?
great to see you. I missed you the other day. I was just like, no.
I go so quick on my deliveries these days that it's very difficult to catch me anyway.
How many pretty much per day are you doing in the right now?
Anything between 20 and 40 seems to be the average. So it's getting quite a lot. Um, yeah, it's keeping me busy.
That's good. And I had the pleasure to speak with a few bottle shops already, and you seems guys then you're the purveyors of good beer up and down London. So thank you.
Oh, pleasure, mate. Thank you for buying it.
I saw this summer stout and I was just like, oh my god, what's happening? Like,
How is it? I haven't had it yet.
yeah, let's do it. I mean, I'm gonna tell you in direct. What are you having as well?
I'm on Wylam and McKellar's Geordie Beer Geek.
Now, that could have been my choice, but what I realized is it was outside the fridge.
Well, yeah, I've just realised it's 7.5% as well. So this interview might go well.
Oh well, 6.5. Don't tell me. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting one. Yeah, I'm expecting coconut and stuff. So cheers.
Cheers to you, buddy.
I mean, would you ever believe that we were going to have a virtual cheers anytime soon, even like 2 months ago?
No, I don't think anyone could have predicted what's going on right now. But here we are. It's what? I don't even know what month we're in or what day. I've just been calling every day Blur's Day. But I think hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel coming up soon.
I heard as well. Yeah. Despite the fact that many people have to, give their comments, open comments, especially on Twitter, on the general situation, the plan to try to protect hospitality and then beer jobs is, in many people's opinion, pretty impressive. So at least on that side, there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Hopefully, yeah. It's been it's quite spooky driving around and seeing all the pubs that are closed and are boarded up, and it seems like a lifetime ago since we were allowed to meet up with friends and have a drink or go after work for a pint. So I'm really looking forward to those days again when we can do all of that. Hopefully in the summer as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And like businesses like yours are definitely gonna try to keep safe all the good breweries out there, and it's fantastic.
Well, the demand's been so high, despite what's going on, people still, I think, especially now, want to have that release and have a little drink, especially if they're working from home. They've got to have something that differentiates sitting at their desk all day to then being at home. And I feel that, a lot of people have that after work drink to separate them. But, even trying to get hold of beer as well, it's been quite, not difficult, but you can tell that the breweries, of course, they're under a lot of pressure anyway because they've got skeleton staff in at the moment, so lower capacities, and they don't have as much output. So it seems to be a bit of a scramble to get hold of beer at the moment, but people must be drinking it still. Even though they can't go to the pub, they're still having that little tipple at home. So
someone in the other weeks managed to tell me that he was receiving orders of all sorts, probably like Castor Rouge and Trappist beer, and after kombucha, alcohol-free, bottle of wine, 12. Yeah. I mean, wow.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been great for us in that respect as well, because we've really managed to expand our range.
Yeah.
And we've been able to get in styles of beer that I personally like, but aren't necessarily the most popular for the customers. Things like some old school saisons and that kind of thing. Always the slower movers we've found. Even though you can get some fantastic saisons and wheat beers and like barrel aged beers, that kind of thing. That we have a certain customer base that's into that kind of niche. But for most people want IPAs, they want pale ales, they want lagers, stuff you can smash back kind of thing. So having this whole lockdown has like, what should I say? It's it's allowed us to just get lots more different beers in that people are going to try. People are ordering lots of different things. They're filling their basket with stuff they haven't tried, and it's meant that we're able to then get more different beer in, which has been great fun. It's nice to see people, you know, drinking those unusual styles and trying something different. So
They have to cook for themselves. They have time to, you know, discover all of the different things and you guys can offer. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting time. And just a reminder to anyone that just connect, Gabs from What's in the Glass, and this is the digital beer stream. Today we are interviewing Elliot from All Good Beer, and we are drinking some good stout. I'm having a Ollingops from Ollingops, and it's a summer stout, and he's having a monster of beer, which is a Michela and Wyland.
It's already going to my head. I haven't had dinner yet.
Right, and we're discussing pretty much like beer business scene in London, and that was my first idea when I thought about you, because we met a few years ago. We had a beautiful trip in the South Coast as well.
We did. We were in the van.
Yeah, man. That was the first time ever I went in a car, a taxi, a van, all sorts of vehicles. That was my first time in the UK ever.
Wow. I hope I didn't terrify you.
When I moved from a house to another house, I always took the bus because I have few bags, something I can't do anymore now. So, you know.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
What an honor. I can't believe it.
That was great. And I always remind you for the knowledge, the passion, and in the same time, the good way that you were treating the people you were dealing with, like in a very natural way, talking about business, but with your own personality. And I'm sure it helps
Right.
you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I've always worked in hospitality, and I think that's what's, you know, the word hospitality is what's key. It doesn't matter if it's the beer industry, if it's a wine bar, if it's a nightclub, if it's, you know, whatever, a hotel. The hospitality in itself is like the welcoming of people and being personable and being friendly. And it's one of my pet peeves is that you go into some bars or some pubs, and you know, you can get like a bit of pretentiousness or snobbery from the staff sometimes, and I'm like, you know, well, if I don't get it, if I don't understand it, teach me, you know, like make me feel welcome in your house, kind of thing. And I think that's sort of my ethos, is that it's hospitality. Let's be hospitable.
100%, I agree. And you know, the fact that you are indeed still in touch with previous colleagues, and you know, somehow in the previous businesses you worked before, it's a fact. It's a proof that you did well, and you know, you're surrounded by people that appreciate your work and your personality, which is great, which is fantastic.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I hope so.
We had to be kind to each other in these days. And you mentioned about previous experiences as well. You used to run a pub as well.
Yeah, that was really where, I mean, I've worked in pubs since I was sort of 16 years old collecting glasses, but the one that really, I suppose, got me into the beer as much as it did is called the Old Red Cow. It was in Farringdon. It's still there now, but I suppose I was quite young. I think I was about 24, and the scene at the time, you know, it was like Beavertown were just coming out in bottles. The Kernel were delivering, like Evan from the Kernel was delivering on his bike. Camden Town Brewery were just starting out. And like more and more breweries were starting to pop up, and we sort of quickly became a bit of a kid in a candy store every week, you know, going, oh, what's available? Trying different things, understanding about like hop varieties. You know, I'd never heard of half of these hop varieties that had been mentioned, you know, until I'd sort of seen the latest bottle from the Kernel. You know, it was a real education. And it just kind of went from there onwards, really, to the point where I got a job in a brew pub, helping out in a brewery, so I got a bit more of understanding of the technical side of things. And yeah, I think one day me and Libby just decided, let's have a crack at doing something, just starting something that's not, our day jobs, and starting tiny, really small. In fact, the little fun story was the initial investment for All Good Beer, and this is absolutely true, was £4. We bought a ice bucket, not even an ice bucket, like a plastic laundry tub, and we got this spot at a Covent Garden market called Startisans, which help people get on their feet, basically, and they will help businesses to get on their feet and start up. And so they didn't charge anything for anyone to be there. They just wanted traders. So we went along with this ice bucket. I got the beers on credit from a brewery because I had the relationship already, and took them there one Friday evening and sold, I don't know, a handful of cans that were in our little ice bucket, keeping them nice and cold. And then went home that night with, I don't know, whatever it was, 50 quid in my pocket, and paid for the beers, and then started again, kept it going. So it honestly started from us going out saying, yeah, we're just going to do this. We got a spot somewhere, and then just had a crack at it, and then figured it all out after.
When we met and working for the same company, I didn't know you had that project as well, which for me was like a kind of surprise when I find out, because that means that you weren't just busy for the job that we were doing. You were also busy to think about how to progress with your own business.
Yeah. And that actually became, I think, one of the biggest challenges when it started gaining a bit of traction, because it was a conflict in my head of, you're constantly thinking about your business, but you're also trying to concentrate on your day job, which is obviously very important. And then, it's manageable for a while, but then after a certain amount of time, it got a bit too much. And actually, so my old employers were Mother Kelly's, as we yours, so we're quite familiar with them. But they were good enough to give me an extra day off a week to focus more of my time. So the boss, he was always very supportive of our plans and our business, and I think it's something that he likes to do, is see people in his company, develop and move on to do something themselves. I think he's quite he's active at getting people back out there and working for themselves. But yeah, giving me that Friday off and having the whole weekend to then focus on it was a great opportunity to and then eventually take that leap of faith to go full time on it, which was pretty scary.
Well, yeah, I can think about it. Yeah, from a like, it's gonna be it's gonna be Elliot with Elliot's business, thinking about doing better and keep going. And this is my first question. Like, how do you feel when you face this? I'm gonna start. I'm now starting and having a business in London, because London is such a scary place, and busy. There is already so much. How do you actually take off the noise from your brain and keep going for your direction?
Well, London's massive, and you can't look at London as one. I think you have to look at London as 30 or 40 tiny villages that all happen to be crammed together. I've been driving around town lately, and there's parts of London I've never been to before in my life until recently. And there's some parts of London I will never go to because it's just so vast. So to think of it as I'm going to open a beer bar or business in London is maybe unnecessary. I think you should. It depends. If you want to be some massive conglomerate, then maybe that's. But for us, we're a small business. I think we're very focused on our local communities, and so for us, opening a business in Hackney Downs was what we tried to get our head around, rather than opening a bar in London.
100%.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful bubble within an interesting spot into a fantastic community.
Yeah.
And I found out about Hackney Downs and the studios and everything probably like 9 months ago, something like that. And then I realized, that you were there and everything. So my mind reconnect, and I start to give color to an area that it was blank in my brain. But not, I don't like it or anything. It's just like my transport didn't stop there.
It does seem to be a little hidden gem, that part of town, because you're next to Hackney Downs Park. It's kind of tucked away between Stoke Newington, Clapton, Dalston. You've got Kingsland Road just there. It's all there around you, but then so everyone just skips over Hackney Downs, which is, in a way, it's part of its charm, because it's still kind of untouched and a little bit of a secret spot. And there's a great community around there. It's very residential. Our neighbours happen to be a baker, and they're making some amazing sourdoughs at the moment, selling a lot of veg boxes, and have completely turned their business on its head, as everyone has. So they've really helped as well to draw in that community of locals in the area. So yeah.
Shall we put a light on this beautiful comment that we just received from your previous...
I didn't even see that. I've never known Andrew to swear before. How about that?
Oh, that's incredible, man.
I will love Andrew.
Oh man. So you just mentioned basically, but my next question was like, what kind of customers you have, with what kind of people you're dealing with normally. In your venue, in your venues actually.
Well, yeah, we do have two. I mean, Bermondsey's, sadly, it's closed at the moment, and there's not really a lot going on there. But they're both very different, Bermondsey and Hackney Downs. So Bermondsey is just open at the weekends when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, and it draws in. Well, along with all the other breweries and bars, and along those railway arches in Bermondsey, it draws in a big crowd. A lot of stag do's, a lot of birthday parties, a lot of university groups, which sometimes you need to be patient with. And then Hackney has, a really strong Hackney community, and it's friendly faces that you see all the time. I suppose Bermondsey, because of the name that the Bermondsey Beer Mile has got now, tends to bring a lot of tourists and people visiting London. So it's a bit more fluid, and you don't see the same people all the time. But saying that, we do have some really great customers that come and see us in Bermondsey, that have supported us from day one. Won't embarrass them, but they know who they are. And we've been zipping around seeing them lately, doing our local deliveries as well. So they're still about. So
that's fantastic. And also, you have all the breweries down there, so beer is a precious matter, I'm sure, in down in Bermondsey, more than all the area, for example.
Yeah, I think so. And then, but you've also got parts of Tottenham that there's like an ale trail up there now. Wherever the brewery seems to sort of group together, which makes a fun little outing. If you're anywhere near them, you can pop in and see a few and try a few different things, which is always exciting. So. And
then maybe have a roast at the High Cross to another.
Perfect. Yeah. We know a fella from there, don't
we? You see, this is beautiful. Yesterday, I had this beautiful French guest, Karim, from the Paris beer scene, and he was telling me interesting stuff about how he developed and how everyone developed the the idea of create a beer community. And you as well, guys, I'm sure created a beer community, maybe your own one, but definitely you gave a massive contribute to the one that is now in Bermondsey and in Hackney Downs. All the people down there then put in comments, you know, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
People, but not
and
necessarily.
it's really flattering to see like these popping up, and I guess I suppose yeah, being humble. Like that was never like I don't even know what the intention was really, but I guess we have, and I never really thought of it like that. So I mean that's awesome, and I really appreciate you saying that.
Well, I'm telling you, and you know, I'm sure you also make sure do your contribute to push the quality up, because your big experience and your extensive knowledge on products and beers managed to let everyone in the area where you are to get the best out from the passion and the knowledge and the product that you have, and I think this is pretty important for wherever future, you know, London beer will have like teach and influence probably as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Was that a question?
Yeah, I don't know, like probably yeah. In terms of, you know, uh, many people said, and if we rely on the drinkers that are in the drinking industry right now and just stood on them, we may gonna struggle more. But then attract new drinkers and having new people that are capable to get their hands on beauty products like this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is my mission. Do you feel the same?
I feel like but yeah, our mission, if you like, is to support you know independence. I think yeah, fundamentally we don't stock anything macro really, in fact at all. So we're very keen on supporting local, supporting the smaller guys, and keeping that interesting. I suppose having a range of products that some people might be chasing after it because they've now become very popular, but also products that maybe people haven't seen before and are educating their palate or learning or wanting to learn a bit more about beer or wine. So I guess just having that point of difference is what's important for us, with a strong influence on you know independence and supporting local.
You having got some events as well going on in Hackney Downs for sure, right?
Events.
Yeah, like tasting.
Yeah, well, yeah, they were fun back in the day when we were allowed events. But yeah, lots of. I mean, one of the latest ones we did was a dinner with Pressure Drop, which I actually personally really enjoyed because I find sometimes if you know you can go to these events and it can be a bit stuffy. Sometimes it can be a bit technical. It can be a bit too scientific. You know, it can be a bit too geeky maybe, which is fine for some people, but there was also an element of people you know just want to try some different things as well, and or have a fun evening out and have a bit of a theme going along with it or something. And that was great fun because we got to serve up some Myanmar food from our neighbours in Hackney Downs, and Pressure Drop joined us. And not only just like one person from Pressure Drop come, it was like the whole team apart from one person. And we had like this really intimate dinner with, I don't know, 20 people. We all ate together. We all had the same beers. And there was enough people from the brewery there that we could just like chat away or break off and have a chat with somebody else. If you wanted to get a little bit geeky about your home brews, then that was totally fine. You could have talked to the brewer. If you wanted to just have a laugh with Sienna, you know, like you could, and it worked perfectly because I feel like it ticked so many boxes for so many different people. But yeah, and then we've also done more tutored tastings, things like that with Burning Sky and Westwell Wine. So I don't know if you remember a saison called This Land.
Yep.
That was aged in Pinot Noir barrels from a English winery called Westwell, who we actually stock their wines. So it's a natural winery in Kent, and having them both there at the event together, sort of explaining their side of the story was really interesting. Because I think, you know, there's so much going on in London at the moment that you can be a bit overwhelmed with you know, everything, and maybe get a bit of fear of missing out because you can't go to it all. So it's really important for us that our events are interesting. They're somewhat different. We try and put a bit of a twist on them, you know, most of the time. So and yeah, we can't wait to do some more in whenever we're allowed to.
I know. I mean, with all the people that you know and all the brewers that you're working with, you could basically do a great event every time you're doing one. So it's just a matter of let the apocalypse going out from this reality. And you also do have some kombucha as well and other fermented beverages, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's something that we sort of recently explored into, and a friend of ours was making some herself. And I feel like people seem to really like sour things at the moment. So,
Correct.
and sometimes you don't want to, you know, have any alcohol. So it's a nice grown up, you know, alternative. And we mainly get our kombucha from Momo. So
Yep.
based in South London, really great guys, and yeah, it seems to fly out. So we also know Matt. Matt is actually the brewer there, who is one of our old colleagues as well. So it's a real nice network of people we used to work with and know.
And you support our Square Root as well. You're having Square Root products within
Yeah,
the.
we do. Yeah. We still support them. So
And I ask pretty much every guest in these days, you know, questions about um, uh, what we face in next months, and I never actually ask them specifically what are you planning to do with your own business to make sure things are gonna roll in the right way. Is there anything you want to say about it?
well,
Like,
we've recently, like just the weekend just gone, we've just started to open for takeaways and click and collect. So to give some context, the last couple of months, I think now, since we've been in lockdown, it was obviously all of it. It was an emotional, weird roller coaster of what's going on. It was actually just our first birthday
wow,
for Hackney, which was quite weird, and you know, a huge milestone for a business to make it that to the first year. You know, we survived our first year, but it happened to be in lockdown, which was all a bit bizarre. But once we first got our head around what was happening, we took to the roads and made local deliveries. We borrowed a bike with like a big well in it that we got the beer out, and then the orders just kept coming. So we ended up ditching that and sticking them in a car because it was far easier and quicker. And then we expanded the range that we covered. So we're now delivering from Walthamstow all the way down to Peckham and everywhere in between, basically. So going forward, I think there's going to be much of the same until the pubs can open and the bars can open and we can actually serve that physical pint to people. But it's also made us change the way we look at our audience and how we can get beer to people, and that we might keep these local deliveries going even after everyone's allowed to open. We found that we've got a lot of customers, especially in sort of Stoke Newington, Clapton, young families, people with kids that, you know, going to the pub with their mates on a Friday night might be a distant memory, you know, and it's like, well, what they shouldn't miss out. Let's take the beer to them. Let's keep this service going. We might have to change our delivery days. I don't know how it will look yet, but you know, it's definitely something that I think we're considering to keep going.
very
Yeah, as well as hopefully opening again soon. So
well, and probably this is what in some different ways and dimension and formula bottle shops are going to do. But speaking in terms of the whole industry as well, what do you think, and how far you can have a look like in the future? Can you arrive to December, or do you think it's too far in these days to watch it?
I mean, I don't know. I hope by the end of the year the pubs are starting to open, but I do think we've got longer than July. You know, after the Prime Minister mentioned the other day, I think it's going to be a lot longer before anyone's allowed into a pub or restaurant. This new normal is something I think we're going to have to get used to for a little bit longer. But I mean, I don't know either. You know, I'm not.
Number of breweries. I mean, I hope, but let's be realistic. Do you think are we gonna find the same number of breweries and the same number of pubs? I know you want to be positive. I want to be positive as well, but
yeah, I don't know. I think we'll lose some. I mean, the ones that are open at the moment, I seem to be fine. You know, they seem to be. The biggest problem is keeping enough beer in.
Yeah.
So hopefully we don't lose too many. But I do think, you know, I think my biggest worry would be some of the traditional cask breweries. They're predominantly relying on local pub trade to take their casks, and obviously that's just completely stopped. So it will depend on the government's plan to help these businesses. You know, they're saying they don't want any business to go under, but is that actually going to happen? I don't know. I hope not.
And pubs, I mean, most of my friends or people that I was chatting with, they were said, and they were relying so much on the daily cash in the till somehow, for reasons, for habits, or for just because they used to do it, and thinking about having them probably like the bigger company as well instead of single independent players. But I think like if you are 100 pubs, 50 pubs, or even like a 20 or 15 pubs company, rents, how do you do that? Like, are they freezing these days? You know, there is so much to think about.
Yeah, I mean, you raise a good point. I mean, the bigger the company, you know, the bigger the problems. I think for us, we're so small and agile that we're able to just turn our business on its head overnight, and sort of carry on just operating differently. Whereas if you look at huge pub chains or bigger breweries, it's a lot more complicated, and you know, potentially they're the ones that will actually find it a bit more difficult, and there'll be this sort of surge of independence that comes through, and which, in my opinion, personally, that wouldn't be such a bad thing, you know. But job losses and stuff to worry about with that. So,
big problem. You're right. And also, like I keep thinking somehow, the habits that the people have. I don't know how many times you ordering food, like food delivering at home, but then I cooking for myself, so I'm pretty fine with that. I'll keep ordering beer and wine because I don't want to do beer and wine in my home somehow. So, I see businesses like yours, if well managed as you do, are consistent parts of our future, important players to show us where are we going, and maybe you can help cask breweries somehow. I don't know how, but
well, we'll keep buying beer as long as it's available,
yeah.
and as long as there's a demand for it, then yeah, we try and support as many as we can. Unfortunately, there's so many that you can't get them all, but the way it's going is, as I said, our range is expanding, and we are able to support more breweries, which is great. It's exciting. So hopefully that continues.
I see all the brewers below there taking note of it. Be careful, because no, I'm joking, man. And I like to take it in the half an hour because I know you're busy and everything. So don't go too much over the 30 minutes. But an important question for me is always like, are you happy about the business that you have? And if you were thinking yourself a couple of years ago, would you go back to that guy and saying, open the business, it's going to be cool? Are you happy about your present?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, I'm very happy. I think I will say when we speak to friends and people about starting something, and it is very exciting, and it's scary and it's fun, but it completely consumes your life. Like it's like well, I don't have any kids, but I imagine it's like having a child. It's always on your mind. You're constantly thinking about it. So there's this sort of stigma that you're your own boss, so you're free and you can do what you want. It's actually the total opposite. It's the business sort of dictates to you how your life. So whilst it is really rewarding, I wouldn't change it, and I'm so glad we made the leap of faith to do it. I wouldn't change it at all. I hope it grows. I can't see myself ever not being self-employed. But yeah, it's hard work. It's really hard work.
Well, you have Libby, and Libby, she's fantastic. Like in terms of I'm sure looking after the side of the business that you are, you can give to her in terms of relying, or I'm sure you collaborate in the best way, which I'm sure not many other people within the industry have. So
yeah, Libby's a great help. We do work together. Sometimes we want to kill each other, but I think that's the yin and yang of the business. It's we both bring very different things to it. She does a lot, like the website that we have, which I'm so glad we've got, because we didn't have to scramble to put one together when we got locked down. She does a great job on marketing, social media. She also likes to do a lot of networking at beer festivals, which is always a great help because it helps us to make those relationships and keep them. So yeah, I'm a hands-on, serving the customers behind the bar and doing the deliveries and everything else. So together it works.
Yeah. Oh well, I really want to come to see All Good Beer as soon as I can. I really want to give you a hug because you've been very, very nice to join me in this chapter of this adventure. And it's the 6th week, and it's been good so far. And the quality is improving. I'm having great guests like you, and we chat about important things. And I see the audience growing as well, which is nice. And I really, really thank you a lot for being here.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, it's been great fun. This is my first ever interview.
Oh, boo! Yes.
And it's payback for your first ever car ride in London.
and what I would like to say to you as well is I come to I will order more stuff because your selection is pretty impressive. So guys, if you're looking for good beer, and especially if you are in East London, North London, the area of the map, the cool map of London, please check it out. All Good Beer, because you have good stuff and you keep it well.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
I hope you're having a beautiful evening. I'm gonna start to cook or maybe do some exercise because my wife otherwise will kill me. So I have to.
You go crack on, mate.
5% beer is gonna be good fun.
Cheers to you, buddy. Take care, mate.
Take care. Have a good one. Bye. See you guys.